All right, guys. What up? This is Let Us Play, and this is a quick video I wanted to throw up. I wasn't planning on making a video like this, but we have received a devlog from Team Samoyed about Teamfight Manager 2, so I just wanted to go ahead and cover it for the channel. I have not read this yet. I have no idea what's in this, but I'm pretty excited to see what they've done with some of the feedback. It's been about 9 days, I think, since the demo was supposed to end, if I remember correctly. And I think this is the first we're hearing from them in quite a long time. So let's go ahead and check this out. This is devlog number 16. Here we go. Every 2 to 3 weeks they come out with these, so that kind of tracks with the beginning of the demo period. Okay. Demo version feedback. Through the Steam Next Fest demo version, we received a tremendous amount of feedback from all of you. Can I zoom this in? I can. Perfect. Among these, we've summarized the most common opinions and would like to share how we plan to develop the game moving forward. Match engine feedback. All right, we've received especially a lot of feedback related to the match engine. Fully understand the concerns. By reviewing your feedback on the match engine, we want to explain in more detail the direction in which we're improving the system and the goals we're pursuing internally. Champions staying in the bush, doing nothing, moving back and forth endlessly. Nice. Okay, so this is a very good one. I found this is a somewhat common occurrence in actual MOBA games in like the jungle, but in this game, I found the main cause of concern to be if you have top laners, mid laners, or bot laners, just laning champions who have a assignment set to them to intervene in other lanes. This is a very common thing where they'll look for a game or a gank or look for a roam, and then they do this where they stand in the bush and run back and forth. And the problem isn't them hypothetically looking for a gank and never doing anything about it. It's more the fact that they're missing an entire minion wave in their own lane and they fall down in golden experience. But yeah, this certainly is a problem. This happens very, very often. So it's interesting that this is the first thing. I wonder how many people, reported this. All right. During a player's roaming phase, the waiting time is too long and nothing happens during that period, creating a frustrating experience. Internally, several different factors overlap to cause this issue. Cases where the behavior is actually unintelligent. These occur when there are bugs or missing considerations in the AI's logic or reasoning process, leading to genuinely poor decisions. Cases where the AI's behavior is reasonable, but the reason is unclear to the player. Okay, so this is more of if a jungler does this, this is where this kind of falls under for me. In these cases, the AI's action may appear foolish, even though it has logical reasoning behind it. The player simply can't see that reasoning clearly, right? So if they're waiting for, like, the theory is, I know it's all controlled by like bots and and programming and AI, right? But like in theory, in a real MOBA game, purpose of sitting in a bush is to see if the champion you're trying to gank positions incorrectly or face checks or uses a key ability, and then you can go for the gank. But in this type of a game, it's like we'll never know if that's what the AI is actually thinking about doing in a game like this, since it's not like human controlled. So I guess I'll take that. That makes sense. Cases where the AI's decision differs from the player's personal judgment. That's kind of funny. Even in identical situations, different people have different opinions, especially in a MOBA where situational judgment is highly complex. There is rarely a single correct answer. As such, an AI taking a different approach from your own can sometimes feel unintelligent. I think that is definitely true, and this will definitely create a lot of people raising their voices at things that frustrate them in the game. So yeah, I guess that makes sense. They didn't offer a plan or like a solution, I guess, on how they're gonna fix that. But it sounds like they're gonna at least tune it a little bit to where it happens less often, hopefully. Let's look at each of these cases in more detail. Oh, well, I spoke too soon. As we mentioned, our match engine's player AI is primarily improved through statistical evaluation. The AI operates independently within the engine. Okay, allowing us to test an improved version against the previous one and measure which achieves a higher win rate. Wow, okay. I wonder if they can simulate like thousands of games doing that. That would be interesting, especially with champion balance, because the champion balance in the game definitely would lead to significantly skewed win rates if they were able to test thousands of games and stuff. This sounds like they're talking about like the decision making part of it. So like if Cavalry wins 80% of games and they tune his AI and he only wins 75% or he goes up to win 85%, then maybe that's where the difference is. But it'd be, I wonder why they are leaving the champion balance like as skewed as it is if they really can test a bunch of things like in a high quantity automatically like this. But okay, based on the feedback received after demo release, we have continued to improve the player AI under controlled conditions, equal skill levels, balanced drafts, etc. The latest version of the AI currently achieves about a 70% win rate against the AI from the first demo build. Below is how the newest version behaves under similar circumstances. Okay, so they're saying, I understand what they're saying. So my thing with this, and statistics in games and in sports and stuff is a big interest of mine. My major in college was data science. I don't work in data science, and I graduated a couple of years ago, so I'm not like super up to date with the methodologies and everything of how people like track this stuff. But this, a test like this, going off pure speculation on how they might do it, this would lead to a lot of like biases and like subjective things that, for example, if the AI that they're playing against has a tendency to do something, for example, say they have a tendency to that the AI, the older version of the AI pushes to tower all the time. Well, the new AI would, with machine learning and over thousands of repetitions, would learn that when the old one pushes up to the tower, that they can gank. And so now the new one thinks it's correct the majority of the time to gank a lane all the time. But what that won't do is if you're setting instructions or you're having a champion that doesn't have any wave clear or something, and they're back at their own tower, well, now this, air quotes, improved AI is going to look for a gank because that's what its instructions and the win rate, and the machine learning tells it to do. But it won't be the applicable or the logical decision to make in that situation. So I wonder, like, we'll never be able to know like what the methodology of them doing this will be like. But I guess my point is that using old AI to judge new AI and having the new AI win more games and call it better, it doesn't always mean that it's like smarter or more intuitive or that the decisions make more sense than before. It could just be abusing tendencies that the old one had, I guess is my point. So that was a bit of a ramble. That, that's just something that I noticed as a nerd about this stuff. Using your feedback, we changed roaming and ganking behavior so that players now decide more quickly either returning to lane or attempting gank. Yes, this is my big one. This is huge, where they, especially mid laners going to bot lane, is something that I've noticed a ton, where they'll roam like all the way bot lane, do nothing, and like sit there. Not necessarily the bush thing, but they'll just sit there and like hit a minion maybe, and then like go back later and miss an entire wave. The speed at which the decisions are made is one of my biggest priorities. So I'm glad that they're recognizing this. However, even with these improvements, opinions may still differ. Some might think, shouldn't the fighter have attacked the junction instead of backing off to lane? No, this doesn't matter. This type of thing can be, like, there can be tuning for this within the stats of the player. So say you have a player on your team who has really high aggression. Maybe when he gets in the bush, he instantly goes for this gank. And maybe you have similarly, maybe you have a player with really low aggression or like a ganking stat or something like that, where it can like use like that stat as a probability of like how often will the character go for this gank instantly, or how often will he back off using like an aggression stat or something like that. That can be something that can be like tuned for the game, and you can train in player training or try and recruit players that have higher or lower aggression and whatnot for your team. So I think leaving it up to AI to determine what's good and bad is like fine, I guess, but I think it would be more interesting if it was different based on the player's stats personally. So Okay. In fact, if we force the AI to dive the tower, the Jiangshi can be defeated safely, but had the Jiangshi skill activated, the combined damage from the tower and the Jiangshi skill could have killed the cavalry. Okay, of course. If the fighter had properly taken tower aggro, it could have been a clean dive. This is all like nitty-gritty stuff. Like, yeah, there's nuance in MOBAs. This is where in real MOBAs, like, player skill like comes in to take care of stuff like this. So either things like this can be tuned in the stats of the player in the game, or if they can't, then just have it be one way in the AI, and then it's the same for everybody. So I think this is like more nuance like labeled here than what's necessary. Like, this doesn't really matter. Of the 3 clips, the third one shows the best play. However, it is impossible for AI to always make the perfect judgments. Yes, I agree. And that isn't our goal either. I also agree that that shouldn't be the goal. As we've mentioned before, while we aim to minimize cases of obviously wrong or bug-induced decisions, achieving professional level perfect decision making is not our target. I think it would be neat if it was like near perfect level. Like, if you had players that were all in the 80s and 90s in their ratings and like decision making and aggression and everything, I think you could scale something like this to where the execution of things like this could scale with player level, like your player ratings, like I've been saying the whole time. If that's not possible, then I also understand that might be incredibly hard to program. Like, I have no idea, but I think that would be the best case scenario, is if situations like this led to kills more often based on how good your player ratings were in the game. That would make the most sense to me anyway. Our goal for improving the match engine is to make the AI's intentions clear so players can understand why it acted in that way, and to provide indirect ways for players to influence those decisions. Okay? Yep. Okay. For example, in the second clip, if the player could clearly see why the fighter chose not to dive and also had tools to make players behave more aggressively next time, then those decisions would feel far less frustrating. The player could clearly see why the fighter chose not to dive and also had tools to make players behave more. Yeah, okay, yes. So this is what they're saying, like, using player instructions in the pregame, we could influence whether they take a play like this or not. Okay, that's fine. And this decision would feel far less frustrating. Okay, got it. Aside from these logical cases, there were also many actual bugs in the demo build, particularly due to ability and tactical system revisions. Some of these truly led to unintelligent play based on your feedback. I'm hoping, before I read on, that this is talking about passive laning style, which was completely horrible. Based on your feedback, we've fixed many of these issues and are now focusing not only on smarter behavior, but on clearer and more understandable AI reasoning. Okay, great. Here are some of the frequently mentioned feedback points. Okay, during fights, they hesitate and neither attack or retreat. So this was due to AI performance issues. We found that both hidden bugs and deficiencies in the logic evaluates surrounding situations. Okay. My thing with this is this happens in real MOBAs. People go in and use their cooldowns and then they back off but stay within the vicinity of the fight waiting for their cooldowns to come back up. This is a thing that, like, I get if what they're suggesting here is that the units are doing it regardless of whether they have like ability cooldowns or not. Like, let me watch this example that they're talking about. Like, they used all their abilities there. Okay, so I think the swordsman is a good example where he doesn't use his Q. I think the monk didn't ult for a long time. Like, look at the swordsman here. The swordsman runs down, and you can see his mana bar is his Q cooldown. So the blue bar is full, and he doesn't use it and just runs over and dies. The monk ults instantly. This isn't even a good example, I think, because all of the characters' abilities are on cooldown. Let's check out the Lancer, maybe. Lancer's on cooldown. He's repositioning. I don't think this clip is a great example. I think the swordsman's the only one who really like does what they're talking about in this clip. If they're talking about like melee characters, like not walking up and autoing, like the red team is like right next to the tower. Like the Berserker is like spacing. Okay, what they're talking about here does happen in the game. I just think this clip is not a good example of it. Maybe they just didn't play enough games to get enough sample size for like a clip to happen. But my biggest thing, so I think okay, let's look at the cavalry here. The cavalry here is my biggest pet peeve with the game. Is players will re-engage when they're 1 HP and die way too much. So he engages, and you see how he's 1 HP, he's way back here, and then look, he runs back in, and he just gets hit once and dies. That's, I think, a far bigger problem than what it is that they're talking about here, in my opinion. But we'll keep going. What they're talking about does happen. I'm not denying that this happens. I just think this clip is not a good example. In the initial demo, you can see champions in mid lane hesitating, taking odd paths, entering bad fights, showing poor engagement logic. So this happens the absolute most when the mid towers are dead. The worst, the two worst, logics, you know, the two worst functionalities of the logic in the game, in my opinion, are one, people running in with 1 HP and dying, and two are in once the two mid outer turrets are down for either team, and say this blue tower is dead. When the minion wave is here, the characters who are assigned to mid lane on the red team in this example won't know what to do, and they'll just wander up all the way up here and push all the way up here and just get hit 3v1, 4v1, and just get picked and die. And then the next character on your team who doesn't have a minion wave or a jungle camp to go take will just run up mid and do the same thing. And you can have 3, 4, or 5 people in a row within 30 seconds of each other run up mid into 4 people and die, have another one run up mid into 4 people and die, and then have another one run up mid into 4 people and die, and then they go and take more guard. And that happens all the time. If there's ever a game that lasts for more than one more guard, this will happen at least once in the game. And I think that is the biggest example of poor engagement logic, in my opinion. Okay, in the improved match engine, the same scenario shows players committing more decisively to fights. Okay, that's great. They rarely recall when low and keep canceling recalls repeatedly. This issue is stemming from both bugs and logical reasoning. Okay, they're listing this as a problem. Okay, sometimes changes in vision or local situation would make the AI decide that pushing one more wave was better than recalling. We're working on making these decision changes more intuitive to the player. Great, that is a big problem, so that's good. More guard, they spelled it differently than they have it spelled in the game, which is interesting. More guard steals happening far too often. Yes. Every 4th Morguard gets stolen, which is like, there should be Morguard steals. It just happens way too much. I don't know how they can implement this into the game, but I wish the character that was assigned to the jungle role had something in their kit where if they damaged the Morguard when it was below like 5% health, it gave an insta-kill to the jungler. Some kind of execute, like a smite mechanic in League of Legends. I don't know how this would be implemented, but it would also mean that it would be nearly impossible for someone to steal it who wasn't the enemy team's jungler. So maybe in the cases where someone does like run up and just one tap the Morguard and steal it, it would be a jungler on the team that's at the disadvantage, and that would make it more in line with what happens in real MOBAs. But I agree with this so heavily. There's so many random Morguard steals in the game. It's way too frequent. Deciding between contesting an enemy steal attempt and focusing on Morguard is a complex late game problem involving multiple interacting players. Yeah, I can't imagine programming something like this. This sounds like a nightmare. Based on feedback, we have fine-tuned these behaviors to avoid both overcommitting to Morguard and completely ignoring contest opportunities. Okay, sure. In the demo, players barely contested incoming enemies while fighting Morguard. This is true. They just sit there and take damage from Morguard way too much, making the result feel heavily luck-based. Yeah, I don't know about heavily luck-based, but it is luck-based to like a certain degree. In the updated version, both sides are more proactive about contesting and fighting during Morguard encounters. Okay. Players build strange items. Yes, this is my number one problem. This is my number one problem in the entire demo. The champions building the wrong items insanely skews the game, insanely skews the trajectory of the game. I want to see the win rate of the magic resist items in this game compared to every other item, because the entire meta in this game are all champions that deal physical damage, besides I guess Magic Knight is a pretty good character that deals magic damage. Other than Magic Knight, every single good character in this game deals physical damage. If any character that builds resistances builds magic resistance, they are putting themselves at an extreme disadvantage. You're basically instantly committing to a 2,000 gold deficit for your team as soon as you buy a magic resistance component. It is absolute. Oh, also, carry units like Ninja or Archer, any like damage over time, AD and attack speed units, building all 3 damage or all 3 attack speed is also a big problem. But yes, this is my number one problem with the demo. I'm glad they brought it up. Item builds were temporarily implemented in the demo. In the future, they will be based on statistics, tactics, and each player's tendencies, allowing for more rational itemization. Okay, I was talking with people in a Discord about whether or not they should let us as the coach tell the player what to build or influence the player on what to build, like say, hey, you should build this and then this and then this game, and then maybe the player does it. Maybe they are more likely to do that, and maybe sometimes they can still go off on their own and build their own items and stuff. So it's saying it's still going to be completely driven by the AI, which is, listen, if it works and it's good and they build the correct items the majority of the time, then great. I'll have no problem with it. I'll have no issues, but I'm cautious on whether or not they'll still just completely grief their builds, because there are builds that are way stronger than others. This is just a fact. It completely skews the power level of the characters too, depending on like what they build. Players don't follow assigned tactics. Yeah, I figured this didn't even do anything. Like, I thought the only thing that mattered was aggressive versus passive laning style, and then everything else, I guess the roaming, like the jungle invade versus pressuring the towers and stuff, that worked like most of the time. That whole system was super like non-functional though, so it makes sense that they're labeling that they want to work on this. Some tactics were poorly implemented or had unclear intent. In other cases, it resulted from complex interactions between player traits and situations. Again, we're focusing on making it clear why a player deviated from their assigned tactic. Okay. Champions can play too many roles regardless of position. I wish roles were more distinct. I somewhat disagree with this. Teamfight Manager 2 does not aim to force champions into fixed roles. Some champions should be flexible to design. However, too many are universally viable. The ban pick phase loses meaning. We plan to strengthen role identity, make certain champions or skills needed. Please also look forward to unrevealed champions that will deepen the strategic variety. Okay. My two biggest problems with this are, one, most AP champions can't clear the jungle until level 3. So Vampire can, Ice Mage cannot, Pyro sort of can. And then what else? A lot of tanks can't clear the jungle. So that's one where I guess it's good that there's an identity on which champions can go into jungle, but then you'll still see the AI putting Ice Mage into jungle, and she'll be level 2 while everyone else is level like 5 and 6 and stuff, because she can't clear the jungle until level 3. But my absolute biggest problem regarding champions and roles is the support role. Well, I guess what I'll say is the base stats of the characters are absolutely the most influential thing to their power level. Meaning you can put champions that have very good base stats, like Ninja, like Archer, like, these types of, some of the best characters in the game, right? You can put them on support and they will still function to like 90% of their capacity, which should not be the case. Support should be designated for your knights, your monks, your pythonesses and priests, like champions like this, where they shouldn't get gold at like 4/5 the rate of everyone else in the game, but they also shouldn't be complete fodder and completely like useless as a character. But like right now, the base damage on Archer's kit and on Ninja's kit just completely override items until you get to like 3 items in the game, and then that's when the items start becoming like they start compounding to a level where they're more powerful than the character's base stats. Because a ninja with 1 item versus like a bad character like Ogre or Soldier with 2 items is still heavily favored for Ninja, and because of that, these characters can go into support and be just fine, and then you just have like another carry in your bot. You can have 2 carries in your bot lane basically. So that's my biggest problem with the rules system as it is now. I wish champions had ultimate skills. Originally ultimates were planned to be added after early access launch, but since that schedule was delayed, we've decided to include the ultimate system at the start of early access. Wow, wait, okay, so every character is going to have more skills? Or the way I'm reading this is that every character is going to have another skill. They're going to have a 3rd skill. That's an ult. But I thought, I can't tell what this means. I thought their 2nd ability was their ult. Like, I thought every character had a basic ability and an ult, and that was it. Like, I thought the level 3 abilities were the ults. Originally, ultimates were planned to be added after early access. Does this count as early access? Or I thought this was a demo. I don't know what this means. I don't know how to read this. If this means every other character is going to have a 3rd ability, then holy shit, that's going to be awesome. Okay. Champion HP is too low. Yes. Making range or utility. Champion's weak and fights hard to follow. Yes. Missing ultimates. Yeah, so there's no... Okay, they're adding ults to the game. Wow. Okay. Without ultimates, lowering damage would drag out fights excessively. That's for match length. We received many comments that matches felt short and fast. Yep. And very few saying they were too long and boring. Accordingly, we have... Along with introducing the ultimate system, we plan on rebalancing by slightly... Yes. Perfect. Okay, nothing to say about that. This is great. The game needs to be slowed down, and fights need to last longer, and base damage needs to be down, or health needs to be up, whichever way you think about it. I don't understand what each stat does. The differences between stats feels minimal. What does this mean? Oh, like the player stats? I didn't even think those did anything. When a team of players with all stats set to 1 faces a team with all stats set to 100, the win rate comes out to about 25-75. Wow, I didn't even know those stats did anything in the game. This represents a meaningful impact on match outcomes, but it still falls short of the real-world gap between the weakest and strongest players. Yeah, 1 to 100 should be this ratio. In real life, this would be 1 to 99. If 5 bronze players played against a pro team, they would lose 100 out of 100 games. But since this is simulating pro teams against other pro teams, it obviously shouldn't be like that different. Maybe it should be like 10-90 on this ratio with 1 to 100. Because if Gen G played against the worst team in LCS 100 times, they unironically would probably win 98, 99, or 100 times. Like, I'm not even joking. So I think it makes sense that this ratio is skewed to be like 10-90. I think that would make a lot more sense, because even the worst teams in the game have skills in the 20s and 30s. So like a team in the 20s and 30s against the 90s, that's when it should be like a 20-80 spread, maybe, something like that. That would make the most sense to me. Okay, UI feedback. It's difficult to recognize when it's my turn to ban or pick. Yeah, this only applies in the 4v4s because the draft order is stupid, but the animations for bans and picks feel weak. I don't really care about this. Since the demo version, there's no polish. I don't care about this. The indicators for preferred and non-preferred champions look cluttered and unclear. I don't even think this did anything. Does this do anything? The preferred and non-preferred champions, I've been playing the game as if this didn't affect anything. Yes, I wish pause didn't cover the gameplay. I also wish this, I guess. I also wish there was a pause option in full screen mode as well. An in-game time control UI was originally planned, but not included in the demo version. Okay, this is all quality of life stuff. I don't really care about this stuff that much. The text-heavy statistics and information screens feel hard to read. I don't care. Like, I don't really agree, honestly, but it's fine. Translation errors, okay, I don't care. Content related to FAQ. Will the workshop be available at the start of early access? Workshop. More advanced. More advanced and detailed modding features. That is right up my wheelhouse. That one's for me, baby. Let's go. I'm gonna be modding the shit out of this game. Will multiplayer be available? There's gonna be multiplayer. I didn't even think that'd be like possible. That is so. This game is gonna be so nuts in multiplayer. Oh my god. Will controller support be available? No. Okay, I don't care. Console. Yo, they're gonna have Steam Deck compatibility. I mean, that's great for me. I don't have the Switch. I have a PlayStation, but okay, they're not being considered. Okay, Steam Deck is gonna be awesome. Okay, no mobile version. That's fine. I don't care. Early access content goals. Sweet. Additional leagues and promotion relegation system. Perfect. This was in the first game, so I'm glad they're putting this in. 120 teams in total, dude. This is going to be so fucking good. Transfer market. Perfect. So we'll have player trades, coaching staff, management system, multiplayer. Players will continue through in-game chat and spectate their friends' matches. Our goal is to provide stable connections and enjoyable interaction. Okay, so I'm guessing it's not going to be PvP in early access. It's more of just like a friends list system. Matches when their own games are over or while they wait for their... Okay, so this sounds like there will be PvP. Okay, I just wanted to make sure there'd be PvP. Workshop. Even during early access, players will be able to create basic mods such as adding new champions? Or like... What does this mean? Like... Surely that's not creating our own characters. We plan on to keep expanding this feature so players can create more flexible and diverse mods over time. Surely this means like they have a bank of like 50 characters and early access won't have all of them built in, but you can add from the pool of existing characters that are in the game. Is that what this means? What does adding new characters mean? I would assume that doesn't mean that you can create your own character from like scratch or something. That would be crazy. I don't even know how that would work. Locker room feedback. Okay. Custom item builds. We're giving managers some control over them. We're still determining how deep this control should go. That's fine. I don't think it should be an absolute... I don't think you should be able to say exactly what every person should build in the game. I think it should be like an influence thing. But our goal is to make it intuitive and straightforward while maintaining strategic depth. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. This is absolutely my number one thing. Manager traits. They allow you to distribute points earned from experience gained throughout the seasons. Okay. League and team customization. I was hoping for this. Logos, names, and stats. Yes. Yes, you're going to be able to create a full real-life mod. You're going to be able to import the actual real League of Legends pro players' names and teams and logos and everything, and create promotion relegation systems. Oh my god, this is gonna be crazy, bro. We're taking all of your valuable feedback into careful consideration. That's it. Wow. Overwhelmingly positive response to this so far. The gameplay stuff is like the match engine related stuff is the part I'm the most skeptical about. I don't know how they're going to be doing this, but if it turns out like 20% better than what the demo was, I'm absolutely going to be a happy camper, because they hit my biggies, which was items, the tactics not working, and like customization of the players, teams, leagues, modding, creating our own mods and patches and that type of thing was like my third one. And also pace of play being too fast. They hit everything that I was wanting out of this devlog. So I couldn't be more excited, because it sounds like a lot of people would have had the same opinions of the game as me. So, wow, I'm very happy with this. This is awesome. All right, guys. That's it for this update video. This has been Let Us Play It. Thank you guys for watching. Really, really excited about the future of the game. It looks like it's headed in a great direction. The demo was already a blast. So the amount of attention and like effort I've given into making videos and just playing as much of the demo as I've played, I kind of already knew I would be insanely hooked on this game and that it was going to be a great game. But things like this just make me even more confident that this is just going to be an absolute banger of a game. So I'm super excited to keep going with it, keep making videos for it. But for now, that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. This has been Let Us Play It. I'll catch you later. Peace.